Good afternoon. The meeting is now called to order. This is the Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting for Wednesday, February 21st, 2004. I am the chair, Councilmember Vincent M. White, representing the 1st District. At this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee first. Ms. Bracy, Councilwoman Bracy. Councilman Field.
Present.
Councilwoman Brigada Fields. Councilman James Spadola. And President Trippy Congo.
Here.
Are there any other members present of council present? As a friendly reminder, only members of the committee should be making motions and seconding. This time I'm going to proceed with the agenda. And the first item on the agenda is a presentation of the snow removal process by Mr. Jason Leary, Director of Operations of Public Works. Is Mr. Leary present?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Leary.
Good afternoon.
Do you have a PowerPoint?
Yes, you should be able to present it up there. Give me 1 second here. Okay. All right.
Were you a part of the presentation?
All right. We ready to go, or?
Yes, Mr. Leary, at your leisure, sir, you may begin.
Okay. All right, this is the snow removal plan for the Department of Public Works Operations Division. Commissioner Kelly Williams, on the Operations Director Jason Leary. If we go, not sure, get the slides progress. There we go. Snow operations personnel, all weather events are the responsibility of Department of Public Works Operations Division. The assistance and the support is provided by additional Operations Division personnel as needed during the event. Our 4 main divisions that work in there are Street Cleaning, Building Maintenance, Sanitation Division, and the Street Maintenance Division. If the event is significant, our staff will transition into 12-hour shifts. The command structure during the snow operation, the Commissioner of Public Works and staff handle all plowing and salting during the event. There's close coordination. We work with the Office of Emergency Management, the police, and the fire to ensure the continuity of the services. All internal communications are forwarded by the Commissioner to the Director of Emergency Management and the Mayor's office. Okay, there's 3 classifications of snow events, 3 different categories, Class 1, 2, and 3, which we'll go into a brief overview of the 3 events. Okay, Class 1 event is less than 4 inches of snow on the roadways, and the event normally lasts less than 12 hours. This event normally is handled by all city employees. The response for a Class 1 is we'll plow, salt, and sand all the primary and secondary roadways. Then once we're done the primary secondaries, we move into the feeder roads and the neighborhoods. The objective is to be complete within 48 hours of the end of this storm. A Class 2 event, which is a little more significant, a storm with accumulations ranging between 4 and 8 inches, and this duration normally is longer than 12 hours. This type of storm will normally require employees and private contractors with their equipment. As similar to the Class 1 response, all plowing, salt, and sand on all primary artery roadways first. Once we get the primary artery roadways open, we then move to the secondary roads. Once we're able to get the secondary roads open, then we move into our feeders and our neighborhood roads. Our response team will service any complaints and any kind of requests of an emergency nature. The goal of this storm is to have all work completed within 96 hours of the conclusion of the snow event. Class 3 event, which is our largest event, the storm with the accumulations greater than 9 inches will last longer than 24 hours. This will require all Public Works operation personnel, along with the support from other departments from outside and our outside contractor. We service approximately over 200 miles of city streets during this time. The response, very similar. We plow, salt, sand all primary roadways. Then we move into the secondary roadways, then the feeder roadways and neighborhoods. We start to identify specific areas that will need snow extraction using various forms of heavy equipment. We create extraction teams with the city equipment and other city employees, along with the private contractor teams and their equipment that we bring in. City-owned equipment that we use for snow removal, we have 20 dump trucks with the plows and material spreaders. We have 13 pickup trucks with plows, 10 with the V-box and material spreaders, 3 state body trucks for snow removal, 2 city-owned backhoes, 2 loaders, 3 small Bobcat units, 6 mechanical brine units, and 6 utility trucks with plows. This is just a picture of the example of our upgraded equipment. This is actually a crew cab vehicle that has a dump on the back, as well as an electric box on the back, which is much more efficient. We can go further without having to refuel and easier spreading. Same truck, just taking a front line picture of it, and switching to these vehicles actually enable us to use these trucks 3 seasons a year, just not the 1 season as the traditional dump trucks that we had. During a weather event, the personnel that typically are involved is the Director of Public Works Operations. We have 1 administrative coordinator. There are 9 operations supervisors that could be involved depending upon the severity of the storm. 24 equipment operators. They're your street cleaning and other CDL operators. There's 17 sanitation drivers. We utilize 2 building maintenance employees for the Public Works building. 3 street and sewer maintenance employees. They do a lot of our snow removal. 4 call center representatives, and a fully staffed motor vehicle shop, which is for a total of 65 personnel when fully staffed. Okay, pre-planning operation. Okay, so when we get a report that a snow is coming, and we have the options to know whether there's not be any rain or temperatures are correct, we actually apply a liquid salt brine mixture, which has beet juice. The beet juice will actually help stick to the ground. What the salt does is it essentially just puts a barrier on the concrete that doesn't allow the ice to form. So when the snow actually starts coming down quickly, we can go through real quick with the plows and remove everything before we start getting the buildup. The main locations for our pre-event applications, we first focus on our primary roads or arteries leading in and out of the city, all routes leading to hospitals, emergency facilities. Then we move to our secondary feeder roads, entry points of the city. We then move on to our bus routes. Then we look for geographical problematic areas such as our hills, our narrow side streets, our bridges, so on and so forth. If we're able to get all that done, then we start moving into our side streets and our neighborhoods. Examples of some primary streets are listed here. I won't go over every single one of them, as we can see. This is the map of the primary roads that the first shift will actually go out and focus on. Once we get these area clear, we start moving into secondary roads. Okay, these are basically our secondary roads we go into, which just take our primaries and then cut them into secondary passages. So now we'll start working everything on the inside. Okay, the operational plan personnel are sent out on the primary roads first, as I said. There are basically 9 primary routes with 15 city plow trucks, which are assigned to those routes. First rule of business is to get the primary roads passable and clear as best we can. As the event continues, the primary routes are cleared, then the supervisors will then redirect our trucks to their alternate routes. After we open up the primary routes and our emergency routes, our trucks then move into the 17 neighborhood routes. Here goes an example of the 17 grids for deployment that we go out, listed the various different neighborhoods and areas throughout the city. Secondary roadways, these are just a couple of pictures that are looked through. Secondary roadways, different from primary. They are the wider ones, more access. They're ingresses and egresses out of the city, but may not be straight to primary. Emergency and hospital routes, Clayton Street, so on and so forth, just to keep the emergency operations going for any kind of emergencies that do come forward. Okay, some encountered issues and problems that we deal with consistently within a snow operation is the public, the residents, and the private contractors returning snow back onto the roadway after it's been cleared, clearing snow emergency routes, cars parking, so on and so forth. And then, of course, once you get a lot of vehicles out there and snow go back on the street, the snow that reverts back to an ice hazard again. In a few of the pictures below, actually, you can see where contractors are pushing snow back onto the streets. Another example of a contractor pushing one back to the street, that's Walnut Street there behind us. The code governor basically making it unlawful to deposit any of the snow or anything back into the street. The 42419, I won't go over it, just. One thing the public works system, public works operations team do utilize, we do have a GPS snow tracking system. We actually are, this is a picture, unfortunately I don't have a picture of our 2.0 system, which is much more user-friendly than this one here. This actually allows us to be able to track our vehicles through a snow operations. Typically we put it on a rotating 16 and 12-hour shift, so we can actually ensure that we can touch every road in the city, and it'll track it, and you can click on these little pins, and it will tell you the time that a vehicle was down there with the plow and everything along lines, which really turns into an invaluable tool when you get into multi-shift operation. Again, if there's any questions about snow, for any emergencies, naturally call 911. Any non-emergencies and inquiries, call the Public Works Call Center at 576-3878 or 311. Also, all emergency snow routes are located on the city's website, and any snow requests that come through, there is a winter storm email address that sets up that goes to our administrator that's working during the snow event. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Leary. I'm going to ask that question myself. Thanks for the prompt. Are there any questions from members of council? I'm sorry.
Councilwoman Fields has a hand raised, and she needs
Council, Councilmember
Fields.
Councilmember Fields, please ask your questions of Mr. Leary.
First of all, I'd like to be recognized. Second of all, Mr. Leary, thank you for that presentation. Secondly, how soon after you do the primary, the secondary, I guess when you get to maybe I think it's the neighborhoods is the last one that you get to. Like how soon after a snowstorm do you get to those neighborhood streets? And I only asked because the last no, which was not this last no, but the one that, kind of we had to use the plows and different things like that. I had seniors that lived on a particular block that had ramps that couldn't get to their cars. So I didn't know if it was like a three, should it be a 311 call or what? I told her to put in a 311 call, but she said nobody came. So I don't know how that goes, but I just wanted to ask so I can tell her next time.
Well, typically, as we said, we always start on the primaries. The last storm we had wasn't a huge storm, but a unique thing about the storm, I believe you're referring to the one on the 16th, or if you go with the one on, or the week of the 16th.
Yes, that one.
Okay, so we had everything cleared, everything went, the storm shifted, roads got recovered again. So we did go from primary, secondary into the feeders. And then once it shifts again, we will go back to the primaries again. As far as, so we don't have like, okay, within an hour we move, we really go based off of what the storm is presenting to us at that time. Your question as far as the ramps, I'm going to assume that's like the handicap ramps and everything along those lines. During the snow operations, Public Works does not do any sidewalks at all. The only focus that we do are on the roadways.
No, I didn't mean the actual sidewalks. I meant they can get out there. They can get out of their houses. They're talking about when they want to get to their cars, the streets are still um, icy. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for them to pull out and drive.
Right, and no secondary road after a snowstorm will ever be completely clear. Um, Once you hit anything that is below 26 degrees, if it's not daylight out, salt does not work anymore. So at nighttime, that's when we tend to put a lot of salt down to allow the sun to come up, and you have your follow-up shift that'll come through to help clean up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from from members of the committee or other council members? If not, I have a question, Mr. Leary. Is any preferential treatment given to any neighborhood feeder roads in the city that you're aware of?
No, sir.
So,
We do our primaries, and then from primaries, the crews that are assigned to the primaries, as you saw, there are 9 routes. From those 9 routes, once we get the primaries cleared, then it goes directly to management, then tells the operators to move into your secondary roads, which they're already assigned, those 9 primary routes. Once the secondaries are opened up, and then we move into the feeder roads. Typically, your feeder and neighborhood roads are not touched until the second shift that comes in, which normally is your sanitation cleanup crews. And sanitation will typically split up. Half of the crew that they don't have as large of a crew of the first shift. So one half will work the east of I-95, the other half will work west of I-95, and just go through till we hit every feeder road. Unless the storm shifts, then we're back on primaries again.
as a follow-up, Mr. Leary, the question is, at least from my constituents after the 16th, some roads seem to have been blade cleared down to the asphalt, and some roads seem to have just been lightly cleared. So what is the directive on the smaller neighborhood roads in terms of moving that snow? Is it to the asphalt or what?
Well, it's not that there's a lot of things that play into that.
Thank you.
It's not really where we tell neighborhoods go down to the asphalt. We don't say the same thing on a primary. In the smaller roads, one thing you have they're basically wind tunnels. If you take, for example, say Bennett Street, you have houses on both sides with a dead end at the end, so the snow along there will just blow. And then if they throw snow back out into the street, you'll have difficulties again when cars start riding over it. The amount of sun exposure with the salt will determine whether you see pavement or if you still have a snow or ice finish. The same plows are used on primaries that are used on the secondaries. It is a rubber tip plow. We attempted to use metal a few years ago, similar to what the state uses in order to go down deeper. And we did more damage to the roads, to the potholes, manhole covers, and so on and so forth.
So the response is no preferential treatment that you're aware of given to any neighborhood, over any other neighborhood on the feeder
No,
roads?
sir.
Thank
No,
you.
sir.
And again, I'm gonna also echo, I appreciate the presentation, it's very timely. Just had recent civic meetings and this question came up, so we'll really appreciate being able to take this information back. And just as a follow-up, there was several situations that the roads were icy after the plow, and several of my constituents did make a call for sand, and it was promptly responded to. But, so I appreciate the timeliness of this information. Lastly, you mentioned there was a color-coded map, maybe 4 or 5 slides, about how you, from the inside, and I couldn't tell what all those colors meant. So if you could give me, could you bring this
Sure.
slide back up? It was 2 or 3 slides before this one.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. That one.
Yep.
My season's eyes can't pick that up too well. So can you tell me
Okay,
what the
so-
colors mean?
The colors are just to be able to tell the difference of the geographical location.
Okay.
There's no rhyme or reason for the colors. If you look to the side with the salt and sand, like 1A, 1B. So the truck that's assigned to 1A, when they're done that route, once they clear all the roads in that area, will move to Route B.
Okay.
So if the other shift was already on B, or on A, then the next shift would start on 1B, and then that's just rotates. And these are your additional trucks outside of your primaries. So on top of the trucks that were assigned to the primaries, if you look at the slide before this, so essentially in a lot of areas you'll have an overlap of 2 trucks in the same area.
Okay.
One focused primarily on your primaries and your secondaries. And then these are additional assignments of your smaller trucks, like your crew cabs, your pickup trucks, now that can come in and get your more narrow streets and get, to help move everything along a little quicker.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Leary, for your presentation and your professionalism. We appreciate it. And if there's and if there's any follow-up, we can do that offline. But I also want to take this time to see if there's any members of the public has any questions regarding this presentation. Seeing none, again, Mr. Leary, thanks for your presentation, and continue to enjoy your day.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance 23029, and I believe that has been moved to, what's the correct terminology?
Held.
Huh?
It's being.
It's being held till a certain time. And just in case you do not have that, the agenda in front of you, it was an ordinance to amend Chapter 2 of the City Code to create a procedure whereby residents may petition the Department of Public Works to conduct traffic studies and install calming device. That was Councilwoman Oliver. Is there anything on the agenda?
Public comment.
Public comment, that's always a good thing. Is there anyone here to come public comment?
I'm here, I just came to respond to the ordinance, so now that's being held, I have no comment.
Okay.
None online.
Are there any other comments or questions from members of the committee that are on Zoom? Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. So moved.
Moved and second. It's been properly
Second.
moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried, same, right. Thank you. Good night.
Chair, would I,
will be now, yes, I believe so. Thank you. Appreciate you.